Hi there BookTube, it's Janet, and today I've got a quick wrap up of the books I read in October. I managed to read 8 books in October, which for me compared to what I'd read in September where I had a huge reading slump is massive. So I'm just going to go through them from my least favourite to my most favourite, one by one. I have to say my least favourite of the month was Barefoot on the Wind by Zoe Marriott, and this is a fairy tale retelling of Beauty and the Beast, and it was one of the books that Eleanor and I were reading for our fairy tale retellings. My wrap up of that will be coming shortly, and I found it a little bit ploddy and just, yeah, it didn't really do it for me. It was an interesting take on it. It is sort of like a Japanesey feel to it, and it was like a little remote village. And obviously basically it's don't go into the woods because something bad's going to happen, and the young girl in it, Hannah, has lost her brother, and then her father goes into the woods and he comes back and he's quite unwell, and so she goes off into the woods to sort of see if she can find what's happened with her way of getting her father back to health again. And there she meets the Beast and the enchantment, and it was okay, but I just found it a bit of a hard slog to read. So there was that one. The next one was Strangers by Taichi Yamada, and for the life of me I cannot find where I've put it on these shelves, but it was one of the books I read as part of the Spookathon, and it's a ghost story set in Japan, and where the main character, he lives in like an office block, and so after 5 o'clock everybody goes home and he sort of lives there. He's divorced, so he's kind of like his home is now his office and his office is his home. And for some reason he's quite lonely, and you do get a good feeling of the isolation and the loneliness throughout this book. And he goes to the town where he grew up, and his parents are both dead, but he goes into a theatre and he meets a man who resembles his father at the age his father was when he died, and the man takes him home, and then he meets his mother who was at the age, and they act like his parents and they are his parents, so it's that kind of story. And it was good, it was interesting, but it was probably just a 3-star read for me. The next book I've got is The Wolf Wilder by Katherine Rundell, and this was probably a 3.5-star read for me. This is set in Russia, and the main character is Theodora, and I don't know if you can see the cover is absolutely beautiful. And Theodora and her mum, they live in the remote, sort of on the outskirts of the village, and apparently in Russian society it was kind of a fashion statement to take a wolf as a pet and treat them like, you know, like dogs, and show them off. And these wolves sort of start to become a little bit wild and a little bit out of control, so they just dump them. But then these wolves need to be reintegrated into the wild, so this is what Theo and her mum do. They sort of teach the wolves to fend for themselves and be wild again. And obviously it sort of spans some of the historical troubles in Russia, where there is the dictatorships and the military, and the particular area where Theodora and her mum live is under the jurisdiction of this particular sadistic general, and he likes to burn villages, and he takes against Theo and her mum, and so he takes her mum captive. So Theo decides to go and get her mum released. And it was all going along swimmingly, and the wolves are in it, and she gets the help and support of some of the children. I just found that once we got to the part where she could rescue her mum, it just seemed a little bit implausible that all these children could overthrow the, you know. So I just found that bit, it became just a little bit too far-fetched for me to swallow, really. But otherwise it was beautifully written. It's just, you do feel the cold, and it's lovely. It just sort of, I felt it let me down a little bit at the end. The next book, again, I can't find because it's somewhere amongst that lot. It was also a book I read as part of the Spookathon, and that is The Death House by Sarah Pinborough, and I really enjoyed this book. It's a YA book, and it's where there's an island, and so teenagers on the mainland have to take regular blood tests to see if they have any signs of this strange disease. We don't really know what it is. Apparently once you reach adulthood you won't be able to catch it, but if you do have any markers for this disease, you then get taken straight away from your family to this house on this remote island. The top floor is where if you start to show symptoms of your disease you get taken to and you never get seen again, and that's called the death house. And so the children in the book, they also, as they become ill, they don't all become ill in the same way, so there's no sort of like defined disease path. And so it's about two children who are in this death house who in their own way start to defy the system. And I won't say any more than that, but I absolutely recommend it. It was a great read, really enjoyed it, flew through it. The next one I've got to show you is Nailbiter Volume 1, and this is the first in a series, and this takes place in a town called Buckaroo in Oregon, where I think 16 out of 23 of the most notorious serial killers have come from, and I absolutely loved it. It's dark, it's grisly, it shows the investigation that's going on because things have started to happen again. And I don't want to say too much more about that, but I will definitely be carrying on with the series. I absolutely loved it. And the next one I have is Porcelain, a Gothic fairy tale by Benjamin Reed and Chris Wildgoose. And you may have seen me talk about this in my Book Buddy wrap-up. And this was fabulous. It does say it's a Gothic fairy tale, and it's true. It sort of feels a little bit Dickensian in its in the way it's told, in that the street urchins dare one of them to go over the wall into the big house where the porcelain maker lives, and it's supposed to be really scary, everybody's afraid of him, and it turns out that the porcelain maker sort of takes her under his wing and looks after her and starts to teach the craft to her, and things happen. And I don't want to say too much more than that, but I absolutely loved it, and this is what it looks like inside. So that was definitely a 4-star for me. We're now getting on to a 4.5-star read for me, and that was my Book Buddy read with Tracy from Flamingo Reads, and that was A Darker Shade of Magic by V.E. Schwab, and that's the first in the series. Absolutely loved it. I couldn't put it down, flew through it, loved the characters. I loved the idea of the parallel universes of the different Londons, the red, the black, the white and the grey. And it was thrilling and it was exciting, and I really sort of got behind the characters. I knew who I wanted to succeed and I knew who I really didn't like, so I absolutely loved that one. So that was a 4.5, and I will definitely again be finishing that series. And the final book I've got to show you is my 5-star read for the month, and that was The One in a Million Boy by Monica Wood, and this was my October, or was it my September Book Buddy box from Eleanor Reads Books, and I loved this book so much. It definitely got me out of my reading slump that I went through in September, because as you're going through it, Eleanor's put little snippets of information, little comments, so it felt like I was being held, my hand was being held as I got back into reading. And it's no surprise to tell you that the little boy in this book, he's a scout, and they get sent off to elderly people in the community to do good deeds, and he starts to get along with Ona, who is 104, and he's sort of a little bit obsessive. He counts things in tens, and he's obsessed with world records, so him and Ona form a bond, and then he doesn't come one week, and subsequent weeks he doesn't come, and then till his father turns up, and it turns out the little boy's died. But his father is going to fulfil the commitment that his son made, and it's just a tale of grief and love and friendship and humanity. It's funny, it's heartbreaking, it was just a lovely read. It is beautifully written. I can't recommend it highly enough, so if you see that, I would definitely say it's worth picking up. So that was my October wrap up. Let me know what you think of any of these, and let's chat in the comments down below. I will see you all soon. Keep reading. Bye!